What's up? Matt from Urchfab here. In today's video we're carrying on with this awesome little Mk2 Escort with a Pinto turbo engine in it, which I recently bought. I've just been working through a lot of the teething issues with it and finishing it off. I'm going to be relocating that oil cooler into the engine bay. I'm also going to be getting rid of these carbon bumpers, which I don't think really suit the sleeper look of the car. This is where the first issue of a coolant leak is, on that little T-piece where the turbo return joins back into the radiator, and you can see how that clip's been put on is because there's just no room to actually fit that T-piece in. So we're going to sort that out by actually just getting rid of that T-piece and modifying the radiator. You can see here, if you look in between the rad and the car, the fan has been sandwiched in between the intercooler and the radiator, and it's actually fouling on the intercooler. And that itself has just pushed everything in the engine bay forward so that there's just no room to do anything. I like to start off with something easy and something that gives you, a little visual boost. So getting rid of those carbon bumpers was the first job I wanted to tick off. So I had to take the grill out and sort of pull all the pipework for the oil cooler back through as well, so we can relocate that inside. Grill back on. Immediately that looks 10 times better to me. Just had the round headlight conversion on this one. This car should have had square headlights in it, which I do kind of actually prefer, but you can see there I've cut a bit more out of the slam panel to allow the radiator to sit a bit further forward. I've welded the brackets directly onto the radiator and also welded an inlet to the bottom of it there, so that's where the turbo feed will return to now, and that means I can completely do away with that T-piece which was causing an issue. So the rag can go in with the radiator now on the back of it, and we've just got enough clearance. It is still quite tight, but when you start turbocharging things you're cramming a lot more components in, so it is a little bit of a squeeze, but all the hose work, pipe work and all that stuff just fits. You can actually get to everything to get the clips on and do the hose clips up and stuff like that. I had to redo some of the wiring down there on the right hand side as well, just so it was all out the way and that there isn't going to be any issues with any sort of wires getting snagged on things. And then the oil cooler I'm going to mount in that gap just in front of the radiator there. I know there's going to be people saying the oil cooler should be in front of the radiator, and yeah, for optimum cooling, yes, I would agree, but I've got the oil cooler mounted behind the rad on the P, and that gets absolutely hammered around the track, and the oil temps are fine on that, so I don't think it's going to be an issue personally. So that's the brackets cut out, and made some pretty big slots in them just so I've got some adjustment on the fitting of it. And you can see there that adjustment did come in handy, just for when I got the hoses on, just so I could sort of slide it up a little bit to get the fitting on the end of the hose. And this has got a Mk2 thermostatic sandwich plate which is feeding that oil cooler, and that's it all fitted up nicely. It'll still have pretty decent airflow to it there. It's sort of half in the window, so much happier with that. And this is how everything looks from the underside. I've replaced that bottom hose with a new one. You can see we've got nice clearance there. You can get into everything. There's no leaks, and that's the turbo return line there that you can just see coming down, which just plumbs directly into the rad. And with the brackets welded onto the rad, it's much easier bolting the rad in and out because you just couldn't get to any of the bolts. And that's the oil cooler side, so it fits in there really well. There's my adjustable anti-roll bar brackets, which if you didn't see, I made a video about making those the other day. And another job ticked off the list. Next job, oil leak. A fairly decent oil leak. You can see it's coming down from the back of the rocker cover running all the way back down the back of the head. A bit of it's getting onto the exhaust manifold and smoking a bit. We've also got no oil filler cap. This is a dry sump rocker cover, so no oil filler. You'd have to fill it through this breather catch cam, which is a really nicely made thing actually, but if you want to fill it, you've got to essentially fill through that little tube down there. Otherwise you'd have to fill the whole catch can until it would run down through that pipe there. And then you've got a drain to drain it off in the inner wing. So it is quite a nice setup, but like I said, you've got no way of actually filling it easily, so I'm just going to fit a filler neck to this rocker cover. So you can see that back corner there where it's all wet is where it's been leaking. I did try nipping it down, but generally once these things start leaking you can't stop it. And then the front there, you can see the gaskets moved when they've clamped it down. First job, drill out the hull. It's going to go exactly in the same position where the original would have been. Alright, time to weld this on. This here is the Jazik welder that you can win with the car. No, sorry, not with the car. You can either win the car or you can have 10 grand and this Jazik welder. I've got two of these welders to give away, so details about winning the car or the welder and the money are all at the end of the video. And you can see this thing spits out some nice smooth welds. It's actually a really nice, easy to use little machine. I had a can of Suzuki Samurai Black 2-pack from Transpares left over, so I used that to give the rocker cover a quick blow over, and that came out really nice. It always comes out nice using those 2-pack cans. I'm always amazed at the finish you can get out of an aerosol. New gasket going on there, so Victorine's gasket, and you can't really see them, but there's these little tiny dowels that you press into that gasket to stop you being able to over tighten it. That's it, back together, ready to go on, looking pretty sweet. Was a little bit of a faff to get it in without scratching it. Cap work's an absolute treat. That's never going to come out by accident. It takes quite a bit of force and pops in there nicely. So we've now got loads of clearance everywhere. You can see that air filter was actually touching the radiator before, and the radiator was that much further forward with the fan in between the two. So we got clearance everywhere, nothing's rubbing, and so yeah, it was actually quite a lot of work, but much happier with that now. So next on the list, I was contacted by a chap called Vasilis. Hopefully I've not just massacred your name. He makes these Mk2 Escort dashes. He does them for all the AIM products, Haltech, you know, all the common ECU dashes. And he said, did I want to try one out with my AIM MXP? And I said, yeah, I'd be happy to give it a go, see how well it fits. It's a really nicely made bit of kit. I'm not sure how that's made, whether it's 3D printed or what. It doesn't look 3D printed to me, but I don't really know much about 3D printing. The dash fits in absolutely perfectly, and then that fits into the surround absolutely perfectly as well. It tips the dash a bit more vertical, whereas the one I had made, the dash was tilting back away from me a little bit. This one tips it more up, so it's sort of like 90 degrees to your eye line, and then you've got these like nice little cutouts at the side to be able to reach the buttons to make adjustments. So yeah, I'm really happy with that and the way it looks and the way it fits. I'll put a link to his site in the description, so if you're looking for one of these, definitely worth checking out. So thanks Vasilis for that. This is a bit of a weird one. I noticed when I was pulling the sender out, I could feel something inside the tank, and I sort of managed to get my head in there and have a peer in, and could see something in the bottom of the tank. So grabbed a hold of it, and it turned out to be half a t-shirt. This tank's had like a swirl pot put into the bottom of it, so I'm guessing that at some point when the tank's been out, someone's bunged the filler with a t-shirt, and then when the tank's gone in the car, that's got pushed in to the tank. That's the only way I could think that would have got in there. It was actually hooked on something, but I did manage to fish that out. So yeah, that could have caused a lot of problems down the line when that started to break up. So I'm glad I spotted that one. All right, so we're getting through all the jobs, lots of little teething issues and just little things that you come across anytime, you know, you're building a project, I suppose. I've never found a half a t-shirt in a fuel tank before though, so that's a new one. You can win this car for 40 quid with very good odds. Competition's already up and running. We've currently got 52 people in the draw already. To try to get people involved a bit earlier, I'm going to put everyone's name into some other draws. So from now all the way up until Christmas, when the main draw's done, I'm going to do a few little smaller ones for like t-shirts and just little prizes. 5% of the ticket sales are going to the homeless charity Shelter. I don't really go into cities and towns much because I'm a country bumpkin, so I try to stay in the country as much as I can. But when I do, the thing I've noticed is the amount of people there are sleeping rough. It's increased massively, and it seems like there's a lot of younger people sleeping rough as well. And add to that like no one carries change anymore, so if anyone asks you if you've got any change, you never do, because you know you can't pay for anything with cash, and I've never got any change in my pocket, so at least it's something. So yeah, you can either win this awesome Mk2 Escort have 10 grand and a nice new welding machine. Helps me, helps the channel move forward. A bit goes to charity. Don't know what the next project will be, but it will be something cool. So yeah, thanks for getting involved. Thanks for watching. That's going to be it for this one. See you on the next one.